It is Saturday, June the 25th, 6:30 a.m. I'm actually on my way out to Charlotte, North Carolina to play with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, and my name is Jake Workmeister, and I really love my life. So, funny thing, I'm largely retracing my steps from coming back from West Virginia last week. I just passed, what was that, Sheets number 7? Starting to think I need an intervention, I think, from that video. I wasn't expecting to come out here again, and Google Maps just took me right on the same path that I took, went over New River Gorge. It's kind of funny, like, the more you keep doing trips like this, long distance trips, the more you start mapping out like the entire US in your head, and the more familiar all these longer distances feel to you. But yeah, today's gig is going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Got my work schedule in. I don't have to work tomorrow either, so I don't have to particularly rush home. So thank you, Mark, for that. We're going to have some fun down in NC, and there's a species down there that's, we have them in PA. They're less common than they are down here. Striped bass, which is actually a true bass, whereas the largemouth, spotted, and smallmouth that we have in southwestern Pennsylvania is technically a sunfish. So my goal is to wake up early tomorrow morning and get to that last bite before they go to deeper waters for the day. So we'll see how that works. I actually picked up a legit chatterbait a few days ago at Walmart, and we're going to give that a shot too. So until then, I'm just going to keep on driving.
6 hours later.
You know the drill.
When I step into the home, my eyes searching wide. Was it not like to
Later.
After party.
Tomorrow.
By the way, when you're out on the road and you're not quite sure which restaurants are good, bad, or open, or what's available, there's always a Domino's by the hotel, and they're always consistent, for better or for worse. This commercial break sponsored by Domino's Pizza. Domino's, hey, it's edible. So I researched some fishing spots and came across Ramsey Creek Park. Now you have to pay to enter this particular park. It's cheaper for North Carolina residents and on non-weekends. So it cost me $15. So what you're paying for is a well-staffed and well-managed, beautiful state park. It was actually a pleasure fishing here, and the staff was very attentive and friendly as well. Lake Norman is stocked with trout, so in addition to a temporary North Carolina fishing license, I also had to get a trout stamp. In the case of North Carolina, they do not offer a daily license, but they do offer a 10-day, and everything's priced pretty reasonably, so it's worth paying the cost to fish legally, because the price of fines is a lot more expensive. I started off my day fishing this little inlet bay. It was kind of shallow, and I was scouting ahead on the fishing pier. I didn't see any real activity, including bait fish or just any type of small bluegill, anything like that. But you never know what you're going to find in between the rocks, so I decided to give it a try, starting with a chatterbait. The brisk waves mixed with the shallow waters made it very difficult for any vegetation to grow in this area. As such, you don't get bait fish, smaller fish, and by extension, larger fish that are exploring the area for the smaller fish. So I stayed here for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, but quickly came to the realization that if I wanted to catch anything in this area, I was going to have to use the fishing pier. So a quick caveat about fishing piers. I've never particularly been a fan of them as a catch and release fisherman. Reason being, you're putting a lot of stress on the fish, pulling them up, usually about 20 to 30 feet above the water. And in addition to that, it's very difficult, in my opinion, it's difficult to get a decent presentation just by dropping the lure down. And the angles that you're pulling it up kind of interfere with the lure. With that said, the pier does take you out into deeper water than you would typically have access from the shore. So, let's give it a go and see what happens today. There was occasionally some intermittent grass getting stuck into my lure, so I knew that there had to be at least some vegetation on the bed below the pier. It also didn't take long for signs of life to show themselves to me. I looked at this footage several times at this speed, and I still can't determine exactly what this is. Could be a small catfish, but the head doesn't look quite right. But despite this sign of life, The hours came and went, and I didn't get as much as a nibble. And it wasn't just me. About 20 people would come onto this pier within a 4-hour period, and everyone was using lures of various types, baits. Some were using minnows, others were using night crawlers. No one was catching a thing, and it was the strangest thing I ever witnessed as a fisherman. So eventually I did what any sensible fisherman would do, and I sent my primary GoPro down into the drink to see what was going on down there. But before I show you the results of this, and before I actually looked at the results myself, I had to be sure it wasn't just the lure I was using. So I flipped through several others. I was already packed up and in my car when I decided to look at this footage. Then I saw this. So let's review this again. This right here is a largemouth bass. Not just any type of largemouth bass, a largemouth bass that had to come to investigate the flash of my camera. Basically, he saw some sunlight reflecting off the casing and thought it was something that he could eat. Behind him were a school of bluegill, which were equally hungry and curious about this camera. Yes, I had a whole school of fish curious to eat this camera, but none of them looked at any bait fish, or lures that 20-plus fishermen were throwing off the side of this pier. They're all just hanging out, looking to eat a GoPro. This was my day. This was my day. So upon reviewing this footage, I was going to take off, but after getting back to my car, reviewing footage, now I know exactly what to use to catch fish off that pier and what type of fish are down there. So I'm going to go back with a little go-to. My theory was that the trout magnet worm would be the perfect lure for that little school. And spoiler alert, it wasn't. So the only conclusion that I could draw is that the fish in North Carolina are defective. Speaking of the Carolinas, I never see biplanes outside of North and South Carolina. I don't know what the reason for that is. It might have something to do with the history of North Carolina and flight in the Wright brothers. But I never see them anywhere else. So that's a situation where you got everything working in your favor. It's an overcast day, not particularly sunny. Actually, might be having a thunderstorm coming through pretty soon. But I've been here for about 4 hours. In that time, there were about 20 fishermen using all different types of lures and live baits. Worms, night crawlers, minnow, of the ones that I could see. Not one fish pulled out in that time. Now, the fish are obviously down there. We got the evidence, but sometimes they just aren't biting for whatever reason, and you leave with the L. And that's going to be the case today, but hey, it was fun, and this place is absolutely gorgeous. Hope to make it back here sometime, maybe on a boat. But until next time. Wait, Jake. Remember earlier when you said you were going through areas where you've been before and that you didn't have to work tomorrow?
3 hours later.
You know, I was driving back and it dawned on me that my routing is taking me right to a place that I visited last week that skunked me. And I had some theories about that. It's 5 p.m. now, coming on to a good bite time. We're going to stop back there again and correct that wrong. Okay, so we're back in Bluefield. Got skunked here last time. Just parked all the way down there. Didn't work out too well. When I was leaving, a gentleman told me to check out this far corner. And it's about rocks, probably about 10 feet out, but beyond that it drops off pretty deep, and there's a lot of weeds out there, weed beds, which is actually good because weed beds breed vegetation. So we're going to start out with the chatterbait, because I think that'll actually work well here today. There we go. Got the skunk off. When all else fails, the little rubber worm. Now we're pulling in some gill. It's a big one. Bigger. And my bad, that's a green sunfish. They smell better. So today's game is, well, we officially wiped the skunk off this lake. But with the weed bed, I just can't get a decent presentation out there. So what we're going to do is get the attention of all the sunfish close to shore, and hopefully, if we're lucky, I'll pull something bigger in. Oh, how about that? Pulled it right off. Bluegill we're gonna gill. But yeah, I gotta give it, hand it to these little power bait worms. They're pretty amazing. If I get close to the shore with the rocks, all the sunfish come. Oh, that's a pretty nice gill. Yep. And unlike most other fish, the gill will just keep going after it. They don't care. Yep, he might have figured it out. I got a hook in him. He bumped it twice before he started figuring it out. Nope, it's a fat bluegill. Cracks me up, are all these other ones just coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, he's wise to the game now. See, it gets shallow over here, but I have the other camera just going, get a time lapse out of it. That's a pretty nice gill. Got him. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that is a pumpkin seed. No. Ah, you thought I was going to drop you. Yeah, it's a little pumpkin seed. So small, so slippery. So devoured that. God. Yeah, look at the size of these things. Tiniest little fish, but so aggressive. None of these are true gill. It's another, that might be a green sunfish. They're kind of hard to differentiate, but coloration around the mouth. The pattern is different than a true gill. It smells different. It smells a lot more pleasant. Plopped him in, he went right back under his rock. This water is so still over here. Like glass. I guess that's all around. Wind just died down. Yeah, those weeds are still a problem. I noticed one other thing I haven't used in ages. It's an old rubber worm my buddy gave me. I think it's just a cream night crawler. I might slap a big hook on that and just use that. Yeah, because I can't get a presentation with those weeds. Whopper Flopper's just stuck in his tracks out here. Confirmed. It's an old cream night crawler. Bigger version of the wacky rig. Bigger hook. Size 12 hook. Matter of fact. See if the little ones have any interest in it. Yeah, it's really weightless. Yep, attracted all the larger gill.
There we go. Oh, spat it out. Got what we've been looking for. No, you ain't coming off this time, buddy. Still got him. He knocked that cream off, but whew, wow, knocked the worm off.
What?
Okay. There we go. And that's how we're ending the day. One largemouth bass. And hopefully be able to get my worm back. And hopefully conjure up enough juice for a slow motion shot, because that's how we roll. It was a rough day, guys. Real rough day. Persistent slow motion.
Oh, the shot's still going on. Yeah, this is getting kind of awkward. Okay, enough of this.
2 minutes 40 seconds left. We're gonna do a release, pal. Gentle one. Oh, I attempted to be gentle. Can I get my worm back? That is the question. Okay, this is worth seeing. I'm trying to get this rubber night crawler out of here with a bare hook. And as I'm doing this, all the bluegill were coming out, trying to attack the hook. Bluegill. If you can't catch them, just don't fish. I think it's a lost cause, guys. I've had that worm for about 6 or 7 years. In fact, that's what got me into, my buddy Brian gave that to me. He's the one that got me into lure fishing. I'm getting that worm. Awesome. Let's see what happened now. Look at that. Darn bass ripped it right nearly in two. But I got it.
Well, some days are rougher than others, but we got through it. Actually, should have had 2 bass, but I don't know. Something about those hooks, they don't quite set into the lip. Like, looking at how easily I was able to pop it out, they just do a lot more damage, I think, than they should. So I'm gonna have to look around and see if I can find a better hook for this. Yeah, definitely going to be getting some more cream worms, and glad to be back here in West Virginia in Bluefield. Beautiful lake, well worth checking out. Very weedy. I recommend a weightless wacky rig. It seems to work best, gets through the weeds the best, and best results I've been able to get out here. But until next time, keep on fishing.